In the land of stranger.
In the definitely give thanks for your presence with us. Of course, you know you're in the Tiger's Nest. Honorable Priest Isaac here, giving thanks for this royal video that was put up by BSP. BSP, not too long ago. Of course, you could remember this event, 2017, if I'm correct. Or was it 2016? With the coming of Prince Hermes, the grandson, Prince Hermes Haile Selassie, the grandson of Haile Selassie, the Emperor of Ethiopia. And he was greeted in great joy and obviously reverence and respect by the order of the Bobo Shanti. It's obvious you could see exhibited how you treat royalty, as we are known to do. You know, this is a wonderful video. You should visit his channel, BSP, and you could see the title here and watch the full video for yourself and get the full joy of such a greeting on the anniversary, because he came on the anniversary of the visit of Haile Selassie I to Jamaica. See him there, Prince Hermes. This is right on the YouTube. We have a wonderful program for you this evening here. Well, it's not exactly evening as the recording here, but still coming into the evening. And we have the Honorable Prophet Jah Daniel with us. And before we even go there, as I was exhibiting earlier, for sure, remember the time is at hand now for the spring equinox. The spring equinox is here, 2021. And I mean, it's as it says, 3 exciting tours. I'm telling you, it's an exciting time. And of course, you know, space is still available. It will be the virtual edition, the first ever really. And to be honest, as it relates to what they call tourism, we don't really see that as no tourism, but if that's what they want to brand it as they refer to it as tourism in this country, it is the first ever virtual tour, tourism-wise, virtual tourism as they would call it really. But we are definitely inviting you once again to be a part of this wonderful event. Fullness 3 days, the 18th, which is the Thursday, the 19th, which is the Friday morning, and the 21st, which is the Sunday afternoon, and all the information will be given to you when you receive your key. So you know what you got to do. Just contact me, priestisaac27@gmail.com. Definitely looking into the subject for tonight. Remember, of course, your chalice still available. Of course, these chalice natural coconut, bamboo, and clay chalices. I did a program a few days ago. I don't know how many of you saw the program, entitled How to, what was the name of the program again? I think it's How to Prepare Your Chalice. And then it was actually cut in half. And the second half was really meditation time. It appears as if most people preferred meditation time, but that's a nice program for you to get a good idea how to, you know, utilize your chalice, you know. And of course, we are looking to have a mighty lecture. We might have to change the date, but we're going to do a lecture very soon on the chalice, the Holy Grail. And the whole science was to do it on an online lecture, but we might just put it on the YouTube and just call it that. So definitely you could contact us. Of course, you know, the same email for everything, priestisaac27@gmail.com, priestisaac27@gmail.com, and we'll give you more information as it relates to the chalice. I could tell you now, straight up internationally, you know, it's a pretty penny just to ship this, we don't have no shipping agency. We have no shares in the shipping agency. You understand, nor the post office, any which way you do it, it's a pretty penny. So sometimes it's even twice the price of the chalice. And as I said, that really that has nothing to do with us. It's really, we need to have our own shipping agency, as Marcus Messiah Garvey already started. But anyway, we're going to have a wonderful reasoning in a few moments here with Brother Jah Daniel. from the African Liberation Network, and we will be speaking about there was a seminar, webinar just a few days ago. I don't know how many of you saw this webinar with members of the Rastafari Order, and it was about 2-3 hours long. I sat in on that webinar, and it was hosted by the new faculty of understanding in Rastafari. And of course, Brother Jadaniel was basically the engineer, Doctor, I should say, Sister Mama Desta, and the Honorable Priest Dougie were the hosts of that event, and many others chimed in. I heard Brother Tau from South Africa, and I don't know the brother personally, but I've seen him on different flicks. Give thanks to the brother anywhere he may be in the earth, and some other ones. And the discussion was very interesting. So I'm looking to hear the good brother's outlook on that event. Plus, he has something he needs to bring to the forefront as it relates to the previous program that we did. Apparently, as you remember, he had a letter to the Congress, EABIC, and I read the letter specifically. If you didn't see that program, you could go back and check it, because I wasn't planning to read the letter tonight again, but I read the whole letter, and he shared his outlook, and apparently from his review, there were some feathers that were ruffled because of what he said, and he would like to address that. So we will address that, get that out of the way, and then go into the reasoning that we spoke of. So Brother Jadaniel will be coming up in a moment. Let me just make sure he's on board. I need let me fast forward. Rastafari, blessed love. We give thanks once again for the life giver and the keeper of life, and definitely we are here, and as promised, we have the founder of the African Liberation Network here with us, also a member of the a new faculty for understanding of Rastafari. You know the title. I hear people call it many different things too, but so please excuse me, but I think I'm very close. We have the brother, Honorable Prophet Jadaniel, here with us. And give thanks, my Lord, for your presence. Blessed love to you and the family.
My Lord, blessed,
Yes,
give thanks.
I pray all is well, and of course, most of the audience, at least from our standpoint here in the Tiger's Nest, would have remembered not too long ago, we did a wonderful interview, myself and yourself. I already prepped the audience on that as it related to some concerns that you had as it relates to the Congress and moving on from lowland to highlands. But since then, I think that you would have had some encounter with the officials, if you want to use that term, of this government, and you found it necessary to return to the Tiger's Nest to somewhat give a report on exactly what the assessment was on our little gathering that we had here maybe 2 or 3 months ago. So I'm just going to give you the floor for the moment, my Lord, to speak to the congregation as it relates to that previous interview that we had, and we'll take it from there. Give thanks to the Lent and the fast period, man. Blessed Lord.
Yes, my Lord, give thanks. Give thanks to everyone, that is paying attention. I give thanks for the platform, to even be able to reason and sort these things out with the eye and everyone who is watching. And give thanks for life, and the life giver, King Emmanuel VII, Adonai God, Jah, Rastafari. Yes, my Lord. So, to speak to the issue with the Parliament, as you said, the officials, I had a conference with them, with, it was like 9 members of the Parliament were present, and, they had some questions. Of course, they didn't really love the video, the interview that we did the first time. For they have their reasons. And, so they had some questions for me as far as like, who am I and what is my intentions and things like that. And I understand them asking those type of questions because, it's like, there has to be some type of vetting, I understand that. So I respect that. And so I answered their questions as, truthfully as possible. And at the end of it, I feel like we came to somewhat of an agreement. At least I feel like we can work with one another, So they had some issues with some of the things I said, like the fact that I said that they're blocking people from being able to join the Parliament reasoning on Sundays. They said that's not true, which I mean, yeah, I mean, like they felt like, and another thing, they felt like, and some of the other members of the Congress even kind of felt like, say, one brethren, he didn't really outright call me a traitor, but he, kind of hinted at the fact that I might be a traitor for talking about things that should be in-house reasoning. Now, and so that was, the whole discussion, really, that's what they felt like. And also, being that, as I said in my letter, I've never had the crowning ceremony, where a leading priest wraps my turban while the next priest reads the Psalms and, the rest of it. However, I haven't experienced that. So their opinion is that I'm not authorized to speak on behalf of the EABIC. And I feel like, say in my maybe defense, or just to state the facts, it's not even really defense, but just to state the facts. In my letter, I wrote, one of the first things I said is that I am Ja Daniel, unofficial or uncrowned unofficial member of the EABIC. So I kind of tried, I said that, to know and make it clear that I'm not speaking on behalf of, say, the Parliament or the Congress as a whole. I'm just expressing what I see, and I also let them know that it's a lot of things that most of the stuff we said is not really like a secret, and it's not like I'm bringing forth something that is brand new, or it's been going on for years now, so I expressed to them that I didn't really come out and say, I wasn't calling names. I didn't accuse anyone of anything. I just know the fact that, the Congress that I see in 1982, when I see the video on YouTube, and what I experienced today is not the same. And it's, there's factors, but what I was addressing in my letter is that the elders, the older generation, the ones who were around King Emmanuel, at some point in history, I mean, they kind of, some of them lost respect for each other. Some of them don't want to work with each other. Even if say you mention someone's name and they don't like them, they have something to say about the person, so, and that's a reality, but So the point of this video, or the point of not even this whole video, but what I needed to say to the listeners, the watchers, the viewers, is that yes, there are things that are to be kept in-house. And, while some of the things that I said, I feel might have been walking the borderline of whether it's public or private. Some people felt like it was over the line. Some people, and I mean, when I say people, I mean like elders, ones who would have a respectable name within the Congress. Some of them felt like the interview was, truthful and not inappropriate. So, some were offended, some weren't. Some young people were offended, some weren't. I've had people reach out to me and tell me how much they agree with what I said, or they've been feeling that way for years. And some people reached out to me to say, don't even bother, because it's been this way and it's not going to change. And I didn't get discouraged by that. I at the end of the day, really what I want is to be able to work with whatever entities it is that I need to, and individuals, to make the Rastafari movement at large and the Bobo Shanti order, Congress, function and be progressive and help serve African people across the world. That's all I want. So my letter and the interview was just my way of conveying my thoughts to see who agrees and who feels the same way, not to expose any hidden secrets or to call attention to anyone. Because, if you would look at the interview from the last time, I said I'm not really trying to speak down on anybody's works. I mean, I feel like everybody who creates some type of initiative in the name of Rastafari probably has good intentions. Now, does that mean that because they have good intentions, that it is necessarily good work that they're doing, that it's actually productive and constructive? No, but I know that their heart is good. So even the Parliament group and everybody who calls into the reasonings and works with them in whatever ways, I never said that they were doing something wrong, other than the fact that I said they were blocking people from joining the meeting to actually be able to participate. So, to the ones that are offended, I'm sorry that I offended you. I really didn't come to offend. I came to just voice my opinion. I'm not looking for popularity or fame or controversy or anything like that. I'm looking for progress. I'm looking to be able to work with my brothers and sisters who have the same faith as me to be able to establish this thing worldwide, So, yeah.
Rastafari. True, my Lord. You've done very sincere outpour. I think anyone that would have heard that would surely understand where you're coming from. I know there's a bit more to that whole story there, but I think maybe what you said would have been enough. It is just clear, and I think for the record, you would have issued an apology too. Even before you started, I actually said to myself, and largely because of what I'm going to say now, I actually said to myself, when you give your presentation, I'm going to try my best not to really comment on it, and we just move on. I actually said that, but after, again, your presentation there, and straight up the sincerity of it and the reality of it, you moved me to comment and say something about what you just said, really. Because obviously I'm a key part of that element, and really for the audience sake, most would have already seen from that program, I myself was moved to make a statement about that program. Maybe you would or would not have seen it. It was nothing too lengthy really that I went too long into, but maybe something similar to what you just did. And it was because coming from the same Parliament meeting that from my understanding, happened on Sunday, the 3rd of January. This is actually the day after my official Earth Day. Day is called the Parahelion, the 3rd of January. That's when the sun is closest to the earth. But really, someone who is, you could say, close to the proceedings really brought back the information for me. Not hearsay, literal. So it's like as if I was there. And yes, I was of interest in the conversation to some degree. And there was a statement that I made in our discussion when I said that nobody can tell me anything and I could do what I want, X, Y, Z, or A, B, C, I guess. And I think that is one of them statements that was misunderstood. I surely didn't mean it in the way that it was taken. In fact, that is exactly what I was saying. That I even went on to say in that statement when I made it, that I wish it wasn't so. So I think, I don't know, maybe it's the way, maybe it's the way I express myself and whatever the case is. So anyway, I was moved to somewhat issue a pardon. I don't know if it's a apology, but I pardon, you know, for touching anyone's car. Because Reality King, nobody really reached out to me. I tell you the truth. Nobody, I mean, one or two ones would reach out, but all of these people you talking about there, nobody really reach out to me. Maybe one or two people, don't get me wrong, but you would believe, you know, that the one would say, well, listen, man, let me talk to you straightforward. Nobody really ever say, let me talk to you straightforward. In fact, no, let me hold that and explain this properly. I think the only person is, because this is on a slightly different subject, which comes into what we were saying again. You know, I did a video on the fish eating. Yes, and I had to do a video after that, where I explained in that video that the Honorable Priest Joshua, Priest Chris, approached me on the subject now. So this doesn't have to do with myself and yourself interview. This is on a different video now. But it's somewhat still connected, because even when I came and addressed that now, because I asked him if I should take it down. You know what I mean? You did show me off camera as such, that they actually asked for you to ask me to remove the video. But what I'm saying, I'm not too, whatever it is, ego or arrogant that I can't humble. You understand? As I said, nobody really reach out to me. I'm not Mr. Perfect. You know, I can go straight to it. I could make a mistake. I could say the wrong thing. You know, we're 21 days, 21 days going into the Lent, my Lord. I'm not even ashamed to say I've come on this platform and call out for help. Help, not just for people to interview. Help. I need help. You hear it. Sometimes I even call the name. I said, come and help me. Come and sit down with me, just like how you sitting with me. Let me sit back and you talk to the people and tell them maybe what I'm missing out, because I don't know it all. You know what I mean? Yeah, nobody really stepping up. Give thanks for Kes Westmore, who will step up as far as Congress member that can give us a reasoning. You know, and I reach out to ones personally too. It's not just through this, I mean personally. You know, I just telling you, I ain't saying maybe they're coming soon. I'm not dissing nobody or saying nothing about nobody. I'm just saying, you know, you could see that help don't come up there. Just a fact. So when I start to say, quote unquote, my own thing now, because you come down there and the man does be saying their own thing. I mean, I try my best. This my own thing that I does be saying. It's something I try my best to take what I've heard and learned over the years and put it together in a package and bring it back out. Honestly, my Lord, straight up. So I understand, I understand your your expression there. As I was saying, there's the seal up there with Priest Joshua. You know, I reached back out to him and I asked him if I should take down the video. And he said it's all right because from his perspective, and I said all this already, he said from his perspective, the video had a lot of good information in it. And that video was primarily a pardon too. Because we as, if you want to say the younger ones, I mean, we not, all of this, what you did is still a good example to a younger one. You know, not that you're gonna, because sometimes you have to rebel against your own parents too, you know, as you'll be in slavery forever, but there's a certain level of humility, honor, and maybe you don't understand everything. All right, let me step back and take a little more classes there. You know, yeah, maybe I need a little more maturity. It's all right. That's why we call for the help. So I still call in for the help, for the priest and even empresses. I reach out to my Lord. I ain't ashamed to say. I reach out. I'll get back to you. And one even tell me, man, I don't even want to believe. Yes, my Lord. So give thanks. Give thanks, Honorable. So I don't know if you want to say anything else concerning that, because you know I did speak also of the event that happened on Sunday, and and I'm a bit excited to speak about that part of it. So I don't know if you want to say anything.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say, if I may, I would like to say a few things about it. I won't be long.
No,
and I don't want, I don't want to go too much in detail, but it's like say for me, like my children, if I put them in a bad situation, like say if I don't provide for them to where they can do the things in life that they want to do, or grow the way that they should be able to grow, expose them to information and things like that, or empower them to be great, If I didn't do that, and then they grew up and kind of even resented me for it, because, if I had the capability of doing it, but just didn't do it because I was like, mad about something that happened, 10 years ago, then they'd have every right to be upset with me, So I say that to say, like, like the elders, and this is in general, it ain't just about the EABIC. The elders, they had their prime, when they were young and they knew, like, whatever technology was new at those times, they probably knew it very well. But the same ones who knew the technology then aren't really the best at the technology of now. You know what I mean? So it's best for the elders to really even just understand that, yeah, I did this at that time. I was that person. But now my role has to be more of, an advisor, elder, guider kind of way, not a controller, Yeah. And so that's it. Instead, like, it's best to be welcoming to young people. And this is for everybody. If you're a Rastafari and somebody is inquiring and they look like they're anxious and they have zeal to be a Rastafari, whether it be Bobo, Bingy, whatever, welcome them, don't find reasons why, there's something wrong with them, or, don't fight against them because of their maybe different opinion, or don't ostracize them, or, because what you see is people are be like, if you see things slightly different, they'll say, you're not a Bobo. If you believe that, you're not a Bobo. Like, say for instance, like Kemet and things like that. If you say that you don't feel like that's offensive or contrary to the Bobo Shanti order, then you're not a Bobo. And that to me is like, it's ridiculous. I mean, who are you to tell me what I am, So that kind of mentality in general, and because I'm not trying to pinpoint it on Bobo, but I'm using Bobo as an example because I've seen it. But in general, people are that way, one would say you're not a Rastafari if you don't view Haile Selassie as this or that. or if, you know, whatever it could be. And that's just not really, of course, there's core principles and things like that that one kind of can't go around, but yeah, it's better to be welcoming and receive people with love. You know, if we saying love is really what this is all about. And that was, you know, King Emmanuel's most important message to the people is to love you one another. You know, love hangs all the laws of the prophets, and you know, all the prophets, something, laws and commands, something like that. Excuse me, paraphrasing, but it, you know, if love is that important, we should be loving towards the people who are coming to try and carry the torch. You know, correct us, yes, but work with us. Don't cast us out, because even if the video I did, the interview that we did together was bad, or if it was actually wrong, it's best to just, you know, talk to me. Don't block me out or try to create a stigma or something like that for, you know, because you can talk to some elders and they'll say that they ain't really trying to work with certain ones because they, if someone's too different in their approach, then they get like they have like a stigma around their name, you know. So yeah, that kind of vibe, it just creates more division.
Tell me about it. Yes, yeah. My Lord. It's on love hangs all laws and prophet commandments.
Hey, my Lord, give thanks.
Yes, my Lord. Now, the webinar on Sunday. I wonder if I should begin. There's a section of it with the honorable priest. Is Priest Blas? The honorable priest's name is
Glass. Yeah.
Glass. Okay. All right. I never really met it, but I know I've heard the name. I found his section quite interesting. I already gave the audience an understanding what took place on Sunday as well. I think you would give a little, of course, a better official expression, but if you don't mind, let us just visit his comments first. Yeah, and somewhat work our way from there, because I found his comments quite interesting. As you could see, there was a number of people here. Some of these people, at least the streaming that I got on YouTube, I didn't hear them. I didn't hear Brother Cumberbatch, who was right here in Antigua, Ras Bones. I didn't hear him. I heard him come in like for a second, but I didn't hear his presentation that may have come before. So this family, this is on the YouTube channel, African Liberation Network. Look at here, African Liberation Network. That was just streamed a few days ago, 2 days ago. This is managed and operated by the Honorable Prophet Daniel, who is our visitor today. So you can go and visit this channel to see the whole of this. It's a 3 hours and 20 minutes webinar seminar hosted by ARNFO. So that's, give me
African Rastafari New Faculty of Overstanding.
That's it. African Rastafari New Faculty of Overstanding. Webinar 1, and this one had to deal with ideology. All right, my brother, let's just take in a bit of this. We might, let's see how much we take it, but I believe the audience will join us. Let's see how much we take it.
Yes, this evening, our first presenter will be the Honorable Priest Glass from the EABIC. He is living in Ghana presently, ancient of many years in the trad, very wise man, you know, a priest, father, activist, Pan-Africanist, historian.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to mute our mics for the moment, right?
Many things, wear many hats. So, you know, without ado, I would now turn the floor over to the Honorable Priest Glass.
did it have some issues there? Maybe 1 or 2 times it had some issues. Let me see.
There are many reasons for this.
Okay, well,
I saying that the idea I was.
and they said dead ear killer. I learned that in radio. Dead ear kill. All right, family, don't worry. We didn't go, just relax.
In 1981.
Want to get it good. Might be a bit soft, so let's listen in.
Honorable Empress Marina, please unmute your phone.
New faculty of Rastafari. It's when I heard it, I was very, very attracted to the idea, because for years I've been saying that Rastafari has become stagnant.
Listen, good people.
Has not been growing.
Don't mind it.
And I see what there are many reasons for this. I think one of the main reasons is that we got caught up in this Judeo-Christian religion thing, and it has caught us and held us in a trap where we can't move. I've been in Rastafari since the early 70s. I went to Boboville in 1981.
I should have previewed it again before I remember. Hold on, because there's a lot of. So he said he came.
Don't want to miss a word. Could you kindly come closer to him?
Like I said, are you hearing me better now?
Yeah, we're hearing you better now.
Yes, I love it.
Okay. Like I said, I've been since 1981. I've been a part of the Bobo Shanti House, and I've propagated a lot of the religious teaching of Bobo Shanti. And since I have left the foundation and I have traveled, I've done a lot of research, and I have come to some conclusion that is different from what Bobo is teaching. This whole concept of God that we have is taken from the Western theology. Steve Biko said that before the European came, Africans didn't have church. We didn't have no building that we go to praise God. Praising the Almighty was part of our everyday life, was in everything we do. Now, European has come and taught us that all of that is wrong. They teach us that there is one God somewhere up in the sky, and that we are to praise him. And that his son Jesus came into the world, and he made a lot of promises, and he left. And that was 2,000 years ago. And we still haven't seen any of those promises fulfilled. So therefore, it's like a psychiatrist says that if you keep doing the same thing the same way every day and expecting a different result, then you're an insane person. And that is where I see Rastafari. We keep doing the same thing every day, trying to bounce our head against the wall, moving and not making any progress. Now, this Empress Marina mentioned the idea of Christianity versus African culture. I don't think the two can coexist together. I don't think Christianity is part of the African culture. It's what has enslaved us, It what has kept us in bondage, in colonial domination for hundreds of years. Now, how are we going to clean that up so that it benefit us? I don't see how that is going to happen. I think we need to reject the whole idea of Christianity and revisit the ancient African ways of recognizing our Creator and our creation. This, you know, it's like we get caught up. There are certain things that I think we need to define. We need to redefine this whole idea of divinity, of kingship, of royalty, is based on European domination. I mean, when we were created, as far as I know, all man and woman was created equal. So what makes one person divine over another person? Or what makes one person royalty and another person not royalty? So all these things are things we have to understand and we have to define, and we have to revisit these things. We have to be able to unlearn some of the things that we have learned. We have to let go of many things that were taught to us by the Europeans, because they're not helping us. We're not moving forward. Right now, we have to understand the battle that is in front of us. The European agenda is they say that if Africa become industrialized, the standard of living in Europe, Asia, and America will drop. And these people are not going to allow this to happen. So what are we going to do? Are we just going to sit there and let them dominate us? Their whole objective is to get Africa's resources dirt cheap. And what are we getting from it? As African people, we are not getting anything. We're not doing anything. You know, Africa is not building ships and planes and cars. We're not building refrigerators. We're not building the things that we need to make our people's life more comfortable. And this, I think, religion is one of the things that is holding us back. I've been in Africa for 2 years, in Ghana, and everywhere I go, I see church. I see church everywhere. The people, they are praying. They spend days and hours and weeks and months in the church praying, and it is not making their life any better. It's making their life worse. We are wasting our human resources by the people going into church and sitting down and praying when they could be out using their mind and creating things that is going to make us move further ahead. So my whole thing is, my main thing in this new faculty of understanding, of overstanding that we are trying to achieve, and I know that this is not a popular view, because religion is so ingrained in Rastafari that I don't know how it's going to come out. But we have to get rid of it because it's holding us down. We can't progress with Western religion, with Islam and Christianity and Judaism. We can't, those are not ours. I am not a Jew. I am not an Israelite. Pardon me for a second.
No. Right.
Yes, I am not an Israelite. Israel starts with Abraham. And before Abraham, African had developed many civilizations. When Abraham was in trouble, when his family was farming, was starving, and they didn't have food, he had to run to Egypt. Now, Egypt was a developed society, a developed civilization. So why am I going to give up It's like we saying you're giving up a continent for an island. You're giving up your ancient history for something that somebody else put in your head. So we need to get rid of that. We need to revisit this whole historical aspect of how we place Africa and the things that Africa has done for the world. We need to reclaim our history. We need to reclaim our culture. We need to neglect and refuse all of the European ways. We have to learn, relearn, and unlearn. You understand? So there's a big task ahead of us. And we have to do this. It's not going to happen maybe it won't happen in our generation, but we have to do.
All right, my lord. You could unmute your mic when you get a chance there. Yes, give thanks. I think you would have sealed up. So give thanks again for Honorable Priest Glass for his presentation there. I think Priest Dougie also if you want to say endorsed the presentation as well. Some interesting remarks. May I ask what think you, and really what you would as far as what others would have said too? Because really, okay, even though I wasn't there on that panel there, I think my my injection would be quite interesting, especially after hearing from the honorable priest there. I wouldn't even have to hear from anyone else because a few ones kind of held to such an idea, and I know many ones in general. In fact, someone said, I think it's the honorable priest, Doug, he said, his brother Miguel Lord, that no right-thinking person would disagree with what the honorable priest just said a moment. Now, I would disagree with that because there are people that I'm sure disagree with certain things. And I wouldn't say they're not right-thinking people. But I know most of I think the speakers got 15 minutes apiece. I think that's what I was hearing. I know this is my platform, but I would like my 15 minutes. I mean, no, I would like my 15 minutes there. I know it's already passed, but I still think my 15 minutes is worth something. Ones were recorded, Honorable Empress Esther recorded her piece, and the brother Tau recorded his piece. So, I don't know if you edit this and stick it in somewhere when it make the documentary, but I would like my 15 minutes. After you have said what you think about his explanation there, and anything else you might want to say about the webinar itself, though? As I said, I spoke of it, but you may have a little fine-tuned detail to explain exactly what's happening. If Rasta just getting together and chatting and talking, what's going on here? What's that all about? Yeah.
All right. So that's all right. The webinar is the first of a series. It's going to be pretty much every other most of the time it'll be every other Sunday, but this next one we're going to push it to the Saturday because the Sunday there's another organization, one of the organizations that is actually like a participant, I guess. Like the IDOR, Universal Development of Rastafari, is putting on a program on the 21st for the Queen Omega, Empress Menen vibe. And so we decided to move ours to Saturday so as to not compete with them. But other than that, yeah, every other Sunday, there'll be a webinar with different topics, The Rastafari woman is the next topic. And, I don't really have all of them off the top of my head, but we have, the flyer is on Facebook if anybody was really interested to know what all the topics are so that they could, tune in to whatever topic interests them. It's on the African Rastafari New Faculty of Overstanding Facebook page. The flyer is there. And we'll also always share the live stream on that same page too. So, you know, if you can't get in on the Zoom call, because there's a limit to how many people can join. If you can't get into the Zoom, then there's always you can watch the live stream in real time. So yes, as to when if you wanted to share your 15 minutes and even have it to be like considered with the rest of them, you could send in a voice message to you could send it to me, or you could send it directly to and I could share it with the rest of the committee. Because really what we wanted to do, we talked earlier about a summit in Ethiopia, but before the summit we were trying to get the community globally to participate in the reasoning.
But just quickly, and how that is looking, especially in this COVID time.
It's not sure yet. So I don't know. It might end up being a virtual thing, you know, and I think it would still work. You know? Yeah, but we'll see. Definitely. Yeah, it's not a definite answer, but you know, it's up in the air still. But yeah, so the summit, leading up to the summit, we were trying to get the community to communicate and dialogue and talk about these issues. But the response, we weren't really getting a big response, and it didn't really generate the kind of reasoning that we were looking to get. So the webinar series is a way that we can incorporate, you know, different perspectives from around the world and, you know, talk about these different issues. I mean, we did get some responses, and we were able to read through those and categorize the information, you know, to see how many people said this and how many people said that. And most of across the board, it was really the same kind of concerns, you know. And so we were able to map it out into these different topics that we're going to have the webinar series based on the responses that we got from the international community. So the panel, like everybody that called in, all those faces that you saw were not panelists. Some of them were just viewers, you know. It was, I think, 6 panels, 7. Yeah, and Priest Glass was the first to speak. There was some others who shared similar sentiments regarding the Bible and Western religion and things like that. And I think that's not really, that's not a new, you know, thing. There's definitely Rastafari who will not let go of the Bible. And you have Rastafari who deal with a lot of different other things as well. And I think all are valid. I think we, in my opinion, we don't need to be rigid, you know, to say we have to burn the Bible or we have to, you know, anything outside of the Bible is pagan. Or, you know, if you do say any, like, say what they would call like voodoo or witchcraft, that it's like obia and it's bad, you know, because it's not always bad, you know. It's not Bobo Shanti order to do those things, but if an ex-African does that and it helps them to be a better person, or, you know, if it's liberation we're talking about, you know, like the Haitians who use those type of science, it's who can say it's bad, you know, if it frees you and it's not, it doesn't compromise the people, then it's good, you know. So I would say to his comments, I would say that's a bit of a rigid approach. To just say they can't, because Ethiopia is an example of Christianity in Africa, and it thrives, you know. But of course they have their issues, but those are human issues. It's not Christianity necessarily. It's people. I mean, in any place you have different religions and cultures and stuff, and people fight about it. People get upset. People disagree. They debate. And some people live together in harmony and peace, you know. So it's just about finding a way for people to control themselves, really, because that's, you know, it's what it all boils down to, is self-control, you know, in any religion or not a religion or what. Self-control is what you have to have in order to be a good person. So, you know, it's not really Christianity that makes people bad. I mean, I don't really agree with the religion itself, but it doesn't matter, you know. People are going to be Christian tomorrow and 10 years from now, whether I like it or don't. And Black people are too, you know. It's just don't harm anyone, you know.
Well, I could, and if I could say, I would still take the moment, especially since you're here. May not be 15 minutes, but to kind of give a clarity, because I think within the zeal, this is just me now, I ain't speaking for no one. Within the zeal, babies getting thrown out with bath water. You know that, yeah, exactly. I think that. And I'm not highlighting the honorable priest because, in fact, I hear it from many ones, even honorable priest W too. And it's not no disrespect, don't get me wrong. Many ones. It's just that my outlook on things, my Lord, is that, well, you know me, you know, and I kind of strain, you know. You see, if a person pretend they don't hear me, I can pretend I don't hear them too. Meaning that there are a lot of questions people still ask in conversation that I honestly believe within myself, I don't answer them questions there and show them to the world. That's just my opinion. I mean, hey, that doesn't mean that's all. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you why I'm saying it in this fashion here. Okay, even I have to use a good word. Okay, that's why I played his little speech. He spoke of being a part of the Congress, and I'm saying this in defense of King Emmanuel Ade. He spoke of being a part of the Congress, and he mentioned he said there were religious aspects of the Congress that he would have expounded and teach. So after travels and different exposure, he noticed that Rasta in general would have been carrying like the Western concept of God. This is what I'm getting from what the king is saying. It didn't really go into great detail, but I'm using that plus now, plus what many other ones would have said. Like the African culture there, for example. Like I was watching this video in South Africa, and he was speaking of all the different types of Rastas in South Africa. I think the video name is the 12 tribes. When that 12 tribes, brother God 12 tribes, you know, like 12 different type of Rastas in South Africa. Almost all of them wrap up with the King Emmanuel turban. Not just turban. Ones must understand that this is a specific turban. Also, they have Zeke turban. They have several types of Muslim turban. They have Sadis, or what they would call them, turban. They have, yes, Zeke, and other people with different type of turbans. This is a unique turban. This here is a unique turban, not just a turban. It wrap a specific way. So I'm not saying one is not free to wrap the turban, you know, but ones must at least acknowledge, because, you know, King Emmanuel has been left out of history, just like how the regular people leave the King and Marcus out of history. Rasta does leave King Emmanuel out of the Rasta history. All of them, they're guilty. I don't care what nobody can tell me that. They're guilty. When I asked Ras Flacco, so why they don't talk about King Emmanuel, he laughed. So nobody can play with me with that, because that history done gone, and nobody stood up for these people like Barry Chavez, a man with no locks, the late. People like Rex Nettleford, historians, had to pen that King Emmanuel is this man and that man. But all the elders, them had nothing to say. I don't know, up to now, I can understand why they would do that. You understand? And that means something, you know. Yeah, man, I ain't playing with that there. So yeah, so I'm just saying now, that is why I'm quick to the defense of King Emmanuel Ade. Because I'm saying King Emmanuel Ade is not a religious order. And I'm going to prove what I'm saying. I'm not just speaking because it's to my heart. And for sure, it's fully African. I will say why I'm saying this, because many ones consider, at least the Bobo Shanti order and what people call the Naya Bingi order. For sure, them two orders there are hardcore African rooted, are just as rooted as any other African culture. Because Africa is not a culture, it's thousands of different cultures. So it's not as if it's an African culture. We are one of the many African cultures in our humility. The Naya Bingi, what people call Naya Bingi, Fire Key, Circle Tabernacle, what can be more African than a circle? You know, and fire in the middle, and so them is raw Africans, barefoot, dreadlocks. Where's Europe there? Where is Europe there? Now, the Bible, all right, fair enough, you know, but here, this is me looking at this now, as you just so rightly said. Now, the Bible, if you say the King James Version of the Bible, I ain't gonna fight with you, but we talking the King James Version of language too. So there's a reason why, you know, there's a reason why. I agree. You see, we don't have to be frustrated. We just need to wean off of things. We never get vexed and time that we stop. It's all right, take your time. We need to wean off. You can't just pull us off with this breast up. We need to wean off. What I would advise with the Bible, say, number one, no offense to nobody, but most of us don't understand the Bible. The Bible, the amount of science I get out of the Bible, I could ever throw that, whether it's the King James Version or the Gideon or whichever one, I gonna throw that away. And maybe a man, anybody that said throw it away, haven't seen what I see. Now, I'm not vexed with them, but I know what I see. I know what I have decoded in that book. Not just the emperor and so on, some decoding that have to do with me directly, with date and time. I must be crazy to just follow a man like a robot because he say, oh, the Bible, the white man write it, so I'm gonna just follow him. Man, that's a deep book. That book's serious. No, I'm not the Bible bunny. And it's the word of God and all of them things. To me, the autobiography of the emperor, part 1 and part 2, them days the word of God. Bobo Shanti need to have, those supposed to be on the altar with the philosophy of Marcus Garvey and the black supremacy. We just read the black supremacy on the altar, my Lord. I don't know if you ever see a service. The black supremacy does read that. So that means man can, you know, do it away to get the autobiography read and the Garvey. Them is the word of God. The Bible, all right.
And even the collected speeches of his majesty.
And that as well. But you know why I like the autobiography? Because it's his story he's giving. Just like you read about Abraham and the whole story there. The king is giving you his story, chapter and verse. But what I'm saying now, honorable prophet, is that there is a Bible. Interestingly, if you accept the geopolitics of the Bible, there is a Bible that has books that no other Bible have. It's a gaze Bible. There's a reason why. So whether you believe in Bible or not, just the geopolitics and the history of it shows that there's a contention, you know, between this country here, this Ethiopian country, nation, and its churchical manuscript in relation to other quote unquote churches. So I believe that we, like King Emmanuel said, need to learn the Amharic tongue. We need to learn the gaze tongue, and we need to learn how to read the Ethiopian gaze Bible. It may not happen tomorrow, but we have to pass that down to the next generation. No, this is a must. Give it 3-4 generations and we chant in Psalms 24 in gaze. It's necessary. You know, by then we'll have a better understanding of things and know that there are many other scripts. The Quran is just because it was not Islam that was our slave master, but the king, the emperor, and King Emmanuel and Marcus Garvey, the prophecies in the Quran too. The prophecies in the Rig Veda too. The prophecies in the stars. So now, when a man would say, my Lord, that listen, you know what I mean, the whole God concept and God coming tree, man, and so, them is European concept. Nothing goes so. That's an African concept. What I'm saying, we quick to run. You know what I mean? We can show you that. And outside of Africa, that is written in the stars, in the heavens. You know, man will tell you Sabbath day is a European concept. Nothing goes so again. That's a concept of nature. That if you understand the vibration of the earth, that is well set. You know, the Honorable Priest Dougie was speaking of an event that happened. I can't remember what happened. But when it happened, King Emmanuel light 4 bonfire around the camp, and he burned for 3 months non-stop. And you rise a bingy that go 3 months non-stop, and the bonfire around the 4 corners of the tabernacle never out. Them is African tradition. King Emmanuel is an African man to the core. So as far as the Bobo Shanti order, and I would go as far as to say the Nyabingi theocracy order, to me, there is nothing Eurocentric about them. Anybody that don't tell you about Abraham's story, and so again, it's just misunderstanding of how to read the allegory. You know, to this it is to be just as lost as those who believe in it literally as, you know, as flat. As I said, I can't follow and ask questions that I know I don't answer for myself already. That is why I have to speak like this, my Lord. So there's nothing Eurocentric there, neither. Abraham is the same Brahma. There's nothing Eurocentric there, neither, you understand. Israelites, we are the Israelites. We are the real lights, the lights. It's a light being, you know, that's why it's 144,000 Israelites. That's the speed of light. You know, in a circle, 144,000 minutes of arc per second. So man, not this no one man, but the science deep. There's nothing that the Black Christ come with that's Eurocentric. You know, I think that you know, I would agree. I wouldn't want to go to Africa and be singing them hymns there. Them they need to change up to big time. Yes, my lord. That's my outlook.
I would say, yeah, to what you said as far as learning and art, things like that. I just did an interview this weekend. I haven't published it yet, but it'll be out soon, with a brethren who moved to Ethiopia. And, you know, I asked him, like, you know, what is it that what kind of misconceptions we have about moving to the continent and things. And he said, really, one of the first things is to learn the languages, because it's not just being able to communicate, but there's concepts that the English language doesn't contain that, you know, in African culture, if you don't understand the language, then you just wouldn't understand, because a word, while it might translate to something that is kind of easy to translate, the words, the concept of it can be greater. You know, the example that he used is like, he said, I don't remember the word in Amharic, but it was like, let us eat. And it was, you know, the concept is that the culture is so different. Like here is more, and when I say here, I'm talking about America. Maybe it's different in the Caribbean. But when we say let us eat, it's like, it's about building relationship more. And so like, when it comes to business and things, you don't build relationships by just giving a resume and, you know, call you in the morning. It's more like we sit down and we talk. And, you know, we know one another and we become like, you know, more than just like, you know, that type of relationship, more personable, you know, more human. So, you know, as far as the Bible is concerned now, of course, the Amharic and Ge'ez Bibles are going to have concepts that we don't understand from a Western perspective. But we also have to be real and understand that Ethiopian Christians are just as Christian as a Catholic. And when it comes to, like, say, like everything else being pagan, and, you know, like they don't really, some of those concepts that people have when it comes, even just, it ain't really just Christians, it's just in religion, religious-minded people think that anybody who doesn't see things the way they see things is wrong. You know, if you're not a part of this group, then you have it all wrong. And that's just not a way to think, because in Africa, like you said, there's many cultures and many ethnicities, many languages and religions and all of that. I mean, probably not even really religions, but just cultures and different ways of acknowledging the divine. you know, whether you want to call it God or whatever. So it's like, there's no way Africa could have peace if every one of those groups thought that their way was the only way and was sought out to kill off everybody else who sees it differently, you know? And like, so that type of mentality, and it exists in Rastafari, but that type of mentality is no different than the Spanish Inquisition or, you know, them type of vibes, because it's like, if you don't praise Jesus, then you're dead, you know? I mean, Rasta don't really go around killing people, but they'll kind of tell you you're not this or you're not that if you don't see it this way. And yeah, some of the rhetoric around even Christianity is kind of, you know, they use the word toxic nowadays to describe things as not healthy. But yeah, some of the rhetoric people have around even Christianity, it just creates division and separation. And the only way we can not be divided is if I come under your thing. And even Bobos, you know, like this word sound, and it's not even the word sound, it's the way people interpret and project it, that this government or this foundation above all organizations, or, you know, something of that nature. I'm sure you can block the sound properly. Because one of the things that the Parliament had an issue with me with is that I'm a member of the new faculty committee. And I explained to them it's not an organization, it's just a committee of Rastafari people that's working together to do a thing. And once the thing is done, the committee doesn't exist anymore. You know, we're not making money off of it or nothing like that. It's just, you know, we see that there's issues, and some of the issues are across the board. So we're trying to be as encompassing as possible because it affects Black people as a whole and not just, you know, Rastafari or not just Bobo. You know, but you know, this thought of my thing is the best and your thing has to bow to mine is just not, it's not really, it doesn't create good relationships. I mean, you can't say that to somebody and expect them to receive it like, oh, well, in that case, let me just become a Bobo now, you know, or become a Christian or become whatever it is. So we have to be more, and I ain't talking about Bobo right now, I'm saying in general as people. We have to be more understanding, more tolerant. You know, His Majesty talked about tolerance. He had to have tolerance because he's the king of how many different tribes in Ethiopia? It's like 80 something. Yeah, and all of them have different languages. A lot of them have different religion, you know, and some of them are very different from each other, you know. So he couldn't have been like, you know, you got to be a Christian in order for me to treat you with respect, you know. And that's really what it comes down to. You don't have to agree with what I believe in or my lifestyle, but if I'm not harming you, then you have to show respect. And sometimes, and like I said with that sound about the Congress above all organizations, it's not that sound is wrong, because I understand it and I think it's a true statement, but it's just the way some people interpret that. The same way the same Bible, somebody could read it and become like a devil worshiper, or, you know, the next person can read it and become, you know, a great person. So, you know, the religiousness in man is what makes things corrupt. Just like how power corrupts, sometimes religion can corrupt because people think that their religion is the only way. You know, that word sound, that Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and nobody can ever, you know, get salvation except through him. It's like the way you interpret that, I think it's a true statement, but the way you can interpret it to lead you to, you know, treat other people wrong, you know. So yeah, the Bible has truth in it, and what I understand even from Bobo Shanti elders is that it has a wrong right treatment, right. So to take the good from it and keep it. But even another thing though is, I'm sure the eye has heard this sound that King Emmanuel said, that when we cross the Jordan, that we dash it away.
Course. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. John, I think it's going up with that. Yeah, we're good. Yes.
If it's such a good thing, then why would he say that? You know, if it's something that's so true and we need to hold on to it forever and nothing outside of it is right, then why would we need to, you know? So, I mean, it's just a lot, you know, but at the end of the day, I kind of understand the brethren's sentiment. I think his approach might be a little bit rigid and unhealthy,
of course,
but
definitely.
you know, who am I? You know, that's my opinion still.
Because as we know, King Emmanuel is
tolerant.
That is a person that advanced. Somebody in the audience said that they as well too. Well, yes, my Lord, give thanks, you know. Give thanks for the moment. I think we could seal up there. The trees behind you looking real wonderful. But you know, I think, yeah, before we go, I think it's remiss of me if I didn't say too, that with the different topics that we have on the board, ideology was one, the woman, economics, I think education, I think health, these different things. What I always say is that it's easier. I don't believe in putting your so-called belief aside. You are who you are. You are who you are. I don't think we are that different that we can't work without getting that in the way. I will show you what I mean. I don't even think there's any different too heavy that we can't deal. I mean, Black people in general, Black people like that, Black people, African people. I don't think that there's anything that's in our way as it relates to religion that can get in the way of our economic growth, what you call that thing there, social, education, etc., especially amongst Rastafari, especially. But no, watch this. Religion is so strong that an individual, for example, that would say that they're Hebrew Israelite. Now, from their perspective, you as a Black man, from their perspective, you as a Black man are not really an African. You're an Israelite, but somehow you're not an African, even though you look like an African, and people in Africa where they take your grandfather from look just like you, but that don't mean nothing. You are not an African. You are an Israelite that was in Africa amongst the Africans. All the Africans live back in Africa and the Israelites over here. All right, that's just their concept. I'm not fighting that. But what tends to happen with them kind of rigid mentality is that even though you say, okay, that's your belief, it's still hard to work because the moment you say, okay, well, we can start a trade with Africa, the religion can come in, they can say, well, brothers, we don't really deal with Africans, although he's African too, you know, but so that's how dangerous the religion is. My point I'm making, my Lord, is that as Rastafari, I don't think we are that different. Not because Bobo said King Emmanuel. To me, I don't see, I mean, whether you come in the room, we don't have to come in nobody's place. You can come in the room whether you flag up or down. You know the bubble keep Sabbath. Okay, let us try move the events around the Sabbath because we done the bubble keep Sabbath. And if we know the Bingy keep the Sunday as the, let us try and move the events around that. I don't see there's so much difference in Rastafari that we can't deal with all of these other things that we need to deal with. To me, our ideology is a very personal thing. Me personally, I can stand on my ground. Hardcore, I debate if you want it. Well, I'm not really big in the debate thing, you know, but I know for sure. If I have to defend my thing, I come in like a steamroller, you know, for sure. I tell him the man. But I would never force that amongst Rastafari when we're trying to liberate and go forward as a group. Amongst Bobo, we need to get our act together, yeah, and be the strength and show the example, not just talking. Because you know when Bobo's strong, Bobo lead out, you know. In the 1st of August march, and so it's Bobo lead out, and all the others following. It's just a fact, no disrespect. You don't see when the king come, what happen is Bobo lead out, you know. So it's we supposed to get our act together. The others will follow. It's Bobo and Bing, you know, 12 tribe, no, this is, I mean, you know what I mean, don't feel no way really, you know.
Even the Ras was talking about people saying Jesus and putting Jesus in front of the king. Bobo and Bing, you know, putting Jesus in front of the king. Jesus. Oh, that may have been a 12th tribe thing. That's why I said these institutions are all African. So, my Lord, I believe that shouldn't be, it's good. Okay, I understand. My point is, honestly, if those of us that are Naya, Bingi, and Bobo Shanti, I don't want to sound like I segregated, but especially those two, if we are humble enough to understand, yes, we need to advance our African language. There's nothing too much about us we need to change. We are no Eurocentric. No, nobody can tell you that. No, that's not, nothing goes up. I feel no way. I'm very passionate about that. There's nothing Eurocentric about us. So going forward, again, if we as Rastafari could just work without making the ideology come into play, I think we are perfect. Africa now, my brother. As you said, Africa has different tribes. We are a culture, or different cultures. We are a separate culture. We are a culture. We are an African culture born in the West, if you want to say that. We are an African culture, whether it's an amalgamation of African cultures or a brand new African culture. Rastafari and Bobo Shanti by itself is its own unique aspect. The Naya Bingi is its own unique aspect. 12 tribes, well, that's up to you. I don't know how you're going to fit that in. If maybe you, I don't know, the electric guitar, maybe that's what you're talking about. Even though we beat the drums different, my lord. We are an African culture going home, meaning that now we don't have to blend with nobody's culture. If there's anything good about Africa, any specific culture that we want to adapt, it's just us to understand what we are adapting. But as a Bobo Shanti, King Emmanuel, to me, has left us the culture of redemption, even the way we dress. I mean, man can do some additions to me and gold it up and put in some gold cloth and make it dandy to, you know. But I wouldn't totally change the garments that he gave us. You understand what I'm saying? So I believe that the Black Christ, that's why Bobo Shanti have to hold on to King Emmanuel. He came with something unique. He brought back an African culture that I know was there before, from the way we dress, everything. That's not an Arab culture. Look how we dress in Nigeria and Ghana and these different places with our garments. Yeah, man. So I think we're not going to change no one. I love the Maasai, but I would never drink cow blood. Never drink cow blood. And if a Maasai see the Bobo order and feel that you want to stop drinking cow blood, I don't see that as me bringing a European thing to change the man from his African way. The African have many cultures. I love and respect them all, but I surely wouldn't do them all. Look at those people that big down their lip and put the big brass thing in their lip and the ears and so. I ain't vexed with them, my lord. Believe.
It's you know, I don't mean to cut you.
But not vexed with them. In fact, I respect them for what they're doing. You know, but if one of them say, hey, I was thinking of not doing that and joining this thing, I can't vex with them. They just see within themselves, this is a culture. Because one thing with the bubble culture, you know, it's not specifically directly to a tribe. It belongs to all the tribes of Africa. Go ahead, my lord.
Yes, my lord. You know, from here and from the other side of the coin, you know, from an African perspective, yeah. Like, you're familiar with General Tao Tao, right?
Tao, not Toto, Tao, yes. Yes, right.
Tao Tao.
Tao. Yeah.
His expression is that his experience has been that some Rastafari from the West who moved to South Africa come with a vibe like none of the Bantu culture can be Rastafari, because Rastafari based on, like the brethren said, Abraham and his children and what happened with them. But, you know, Tao Tao would say, you know, no Bantu is in the Bible. No Bantu people are biblical people. And he even would go as far as to say that, you know, the Hebrew language isn't even African. But, you know, that's debatable. I don't know. It's not really that's not my point. But his point is that the people that come from the West to Africa come with a mentality like they're going to teach the African people how to be African. And the African people never really lost their culture, a lot of them. You know, some of them have, you know, and they love everything that's European and, you know, whatever, but many of them have kept their roots. And so for me now, say because I know King Emmanuel and I say he's the Christ and his way is the best way. Now for me to go to the homeland, the motherland, where they never lost their way, and doesn't mean necessarily, I'm not saying that just because their way is like ancient, that is absolutely correct, because there are things like you said with the Maasai and the blood drinking. I'm not going to partake in that. It might not really be the best thing for them. They might be able to figure out a better way to live, but who am I to go and tell them that their way is wrong?
Exactly.
You know, and even if say the Maasai wanted to be Rastafari, and they had their own way of being of praising the king, and it included blood drinking, I can't tell them that they're not praising Haile Selassie the First. I mean, so within realisticness, you know, we just got to let people be, you know. If it's not like, it's one thing to come into the Bobo Shanti order and say that the Maasai way of drinking blood is the Bobo Shanti order. Now that would be false, but it's also not for me to go and say that the way that the African people who have always been in Africa, the way that they're living is wrong. That would, I mean, unless I could like prove with like, say, actual facts to say that like this is harmful to you, then I wouldn't speak on it. Like, you know, who you praise and how you praise them, that's your business, you know. If you see my way as something you want to adapt, then great, I'll tell you everything and I won't hold it back. And if you decide to incorporate some of my ways into what you already do, then you can name it something different. Don't say it's Bobo Shanti, or don't say it's Rastafari, or I won't even say Rastafari, but say like if you are a member of the Nyabingi theocracy, that's a specific way. And so to blend that now would be something new, and that's fine, but don't call it the original if it's not the original, you know? But and the people that are part of the original shouldn't be offended that people are, you know, say taking parts of their thing and calling it something else, because really what they say imitation is flattery. So that means something you're doing is good.
Like the South African brethren them that wrapping up, eh?
Yeah, that's my Lord. Yeah. Just be honest with self. Like I spoke and said, I'm not an official member of the Congress, so I'm not authorized to speak on behalf of the Congress. So I'm clarifying that, yeah, there's a ritual that I haven't gone through, a rite of passage that I haven't gone through yet. So, you know, but
I don't mean you're not authorized to speak on behalf of the Most High.
Truth is truth. You know, to speak on behalf of the Most High, I would say I am authorized just as any other man or woman is. But the Congress itself is an entity that I haven't, you know, gotten the ritual to initiate me as a member. You know, and some people would say that that's not even that big a deal, and some people feel like it's a really big deal. So, you know, to not offend, I call it what it is. I haven't been crowned officially, but some people say I'm a Bobo. Some people say I need to take my turban off, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, it's a matter of opinion, I guess. With respect still, it's not just opinion, because there is a proper way, but
yes, in time.
You know? Yeah, I still say, you know, people, the ritual doesn't make the change. The heart makes the change.
Yes, right.
You can get crowned and still have a wicked heart.
Yeah, right.
You can live in Congress in the camp for years and still have a wicked heart. You could not have a turban at all and be a very righteous person. So, you know, it's levels, you know.
I give thanks, you know. You want to give any sealing reasoning, any last words? Not last words, but sealing words. Well, you already said you didn't have to fly in front of you, but, you know, any last words, any sealing words?
Yeah, I would just, you know, I would like to thank you, Honorable Priest Isaac, for having me to clarify on my behalf, you know, after my reasoning with the Parliament members. Thank you for letting me use the platform to do so, because they asked me to do it on my own platform because, you know, but I don't get as many viewers as the eye, and I feel like it even is more appropriate since the first reasoning was here. The same people that tune in, your subscribers that saw the first video, can now see me clarifying myself, officially. So yeah, I give thanks for that. And otherwise, if you want, like the honorable priest said, the entire webinar is available for viewing on the African Liberation Network YouTube channel.
They should check it out.
And it's some good reasoning. We had Dr. Michael Barnett, who's a lecturer at the University of West Indies, and his presentation, amongst others, but his presentation revealed some information that I hadn't yet been exposed to. But everybody's presentation was really good. Honorable Empress Esther did block a sound on behalf of the Congress Women's Freedom League, and so there's a lot of different perspectives, and it's good to even just hear what people are saying, because if we haven't liberated ourselves yet, then that means there's room for improvement, and so let's just be open and have the conversation. Of course, there's things that we need to keep about Rastafari that exist, but there also are things that need to be updated with the times, because even King Emmanuel, he started out, it wasn't called the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress. It had a different name, Ethiopian National Congress or something like that, and then it changed names a few different times before it became this. It started out with parts of the order, and over the time, different things happened, different principles were introduced. Like even the 21 days principle didn't start out as 21, it started out as something else and evolved to that. So the point I'm making is that we call him Christ and we follow his ways, but we have to understand that he is a human as well, and that he evolved with time, just like natural people do. And so the order itself, while it is perfect, it still can continue to adapt to the new technologies and abilities that we have, and even the fact that the Congress is becoming international, and you have people on the continent, you have people in America and the Central America, Mexico. So with the collaborative strength that we should be able to manifest, we should be able to do even more than what was being done, say 30 years ago, because we have the technology to just be able to do more, and we have more numbers. So in general, Rastafari must continue to evolve. If not, let's not hold on to sentiment and religiousness and say cut off our nose to spite our face. We need to grow. Let's be realistic with ourselves. Like if it was already as what it needed to be, then we would be in Africa right now. So the fact that we're not in Africa, and the fact that our children still, get blocked from schools, and we don't have homeschooling programs, like cooperatively, because don't get me wrong, Honorable Priest Isaac has the international homeschooling program. But yeah, we should be able to make it easier for ourselves to be an actual community, even globally, with the technology we have. So the fact that we aren't there yet just means that we just need to keep growing and not be fixed or rigid, So yeah, tune into the webinar series if you can, and if you can't, just you can always view it later. Like I said, the flyer is there on the Facebook page for African Rastafari New Faculty of Overstanding. And I think that's about all I have to say. I give thanks again that you had me on the program.
I appreciate it, my Lord.
Looking forward to the Congress continuing to grow, and I'm going to continue to give my input and give a strength to whatever productive and constructive projects are going on, as long as I'm able to. I'm willing.
Oh my Lord. We'll give thanks, Honorable. So the 20th. So the 20th of March, definitely. As I said, to me, the best site they could check is your Facebook page. Not Facebook, pardon me, your YouTube page, African Liberation Network. What time on the Saturday we start? Same time? That was about what, 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
1 o'clock American time. And by that time, it might, I don't know when the daylight savings. Yeah, I don't know when they change the daylight savings time, but I think it's 1 o'clock still. It's 1 o'clock here, but I think
Eastern Standard
whenever
Time.
they change the time. Yeah, yes, my lord, Eastern Standard Time. And so, yeah, that'll, you know, they change the time here at a certain point in March, and I don't know when that is. So, I'm pretty sure it's March. So I don't know what time it'll be in the Caribbean, if it'll be on the same schedule with you, if it'll be 1. But, you know, just stay tuned and you'll know.
All right, yeah, fair enough. So, my Lord, we'll give thanks. Blessed love, give thanks to the moment. I myself will escort you out here. And you don't know. Just full guidance and protection in all your doings and sayings, my Lord. Holy Emmanuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Oh, yes, give thanks. Give thanks to Brother Jah Daniel, who was with us there, giving such inspirational reasoning. I full joy that for sure. And definitely look forward to hearing more. As I said, personally, ideology and so-called belief, I don't think that should be in any way interfering in the move forward of Rastafari and the works. We don't have to see it the same. We don't have to have the same red up, red down. I mean, don't get me wrong, these are good discussions. This is me talking about it. You know what I mean? That is what I'm saying. Almost all of these different aspects, I've already covered them. And from my perspective, you know what I mean, certified my outlook on them and can defend myself in any discussion. So if I can say it doesn't matter, I mean, it matters, you know, but to me, it doesn't matter. We don't have to. I think we already have a similarity that is strong enough. Even if we think, man, there are people that have the same belief, the same read up, the same Sabbath and the same whatever, and they still don't get along. They have differences. And even if you get along, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? He like green cabbage and he like purple cabbage. There'll be always something different. Rastafari have enough in common. We don't have to try get everything together because that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. My flag, the red fly on top, and I fly no flag with the red down. I ain't vexed with you with the red down flag. I'm not saying, oh, you can't do this, and I'm not in that, but I'm not flying the flag with the red down. You can talk forever and tell me, oh, the plane that the king come in. You can talk forever, man. Guy can talk forever too. You understand? Because I know, I mean, I can explain myself properly. Might take an hour or two, but I know I can explain myself properly. But we don't have to do that. Let's talk about economics. Some of you, you're in business with people that is not even Rasta. And some of you married to people that is not even Rasta. So why now when it comes, the real thing, the man, so why now when it's Rasta business, oh, well, then bubble man, then bingy money. No, you see, that means like if you don't want the thing to move on there. Yeah. And I think we need to think like that we are a culture. You know, going home, we are a culture. A specific African culture that was brought up in the West. Don't be ashamed. And we're just as African as any African culture. We are just as African as any African culture. Look at how the Bobo Shanti move. Look how the Bingi man move. They have their uniqueness about them. You know, I mean, Rastafari in general. You understand? Our attire, yeah, man, does wear jeans and like a thing and a t-shirt or whatever. But, you know, when one's in the full garb, it's as African as any African. Our culture, don't be ashamed of it. And don't be ashamed to say Haile Selassie is God. The language might be a little, you know what I mean, obscure and God, and I understand. And don't be ashamed to say you saw it in the Bible. What's wrong with us? What, are we going to forget history? We're going to scorn history. When it done happen already, you saw it in the Bible. Where you see it first? Come, now tell me no lie. Now. Where did you see it first? In the Bible. And several times in the Bible too. Not no misconception, and it has happened several times, and other prophecies. It's right in there. Well, King James, I understand, but that's not the point I'm making. It's right in there. So something gotta be, something gotta be worthy to look into. So the new faculty of understanding is a platform. It's not a group, from my understanding. It's not a clan. I know that my Lord said that certain ones were upset that he was a part of that. Me personally, I'm not really a part of different groups as such. Like, I have businesses. Outside of them things, I'm not really a part of. No? I don't work for nobody. Some of the ones are telling you, oh, you should join this organization and that organization. Them fellas have jobs. Jobs. They work for somebody. I mean, just to think, man, job, official job to employ, maybe they have the ID card and all of that to say they are employed, the way the uniform with the little thing, the logo on the side. Yeah, give thanks to Honorable Prophet Daniel for such works, and I would encourage you to continue doing what you're doing as a voice of at least, some level of impartiality, I would say, and balance in this time when it's needed. All right, give thanks. What a wonderful discussion there. And remember to all your chalice, and I'm encouraging you, man. Yeah, man, we are on the chalice drive right now. As I said, we are looking to do a program directly dealing with the Holy Grail. I might do it sooner than later. I said we're going to do it on an online lecture, but I decided not to do the online lecture. I mean, ones are asking about the chalice, so I think now is the right time for us to get into that lecture and bring it to the audience in general. Yeah, man. So, hey, listen, man, give thanks for your presence with us, life giver, the keeper of life. And I'll see you again in the moment. Holy Manuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.